Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. It's good to have you here. We begin tonight as the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students last November, Brian Kohberger, walked into a courtroom today for what was expected to be an afternoon full of hearings. Instead, court was over within an hour. It all came as a shock to many people in the courtroom that we didn't hear about several motions from the defense asking for records from the grand jury that indicted Kohberger, as well as asking for a possible pause on the proceedings to give the defense some time to go over those records if they got turned over.
After calls to contacts with Idaho courts, we have learned the defense and prosecution are still discussing those issues outside open court and trying to reach an agreement.
Now, what we did hear today were arguments from defense attorney Ann Taylor on why she wants the judge to make prosecutors turn over several pieces of evidence. The defense wants the training records of 3 officers who Taylor says had critical involvement in the investigation, like interviewing key witnesses or attending the autopsies.
The other evidence the defense wants are records from the FBI specifically related to the suspect's cell phone records. They also want a report from an FBI forensic examiner who guided police to look for a white Hyundai Elantra. Taylor says these are critical pieces to preparing a defense case.
Now, prosecutors also are arguing the defense has everything the state has and that they are still waiting to get more records from the FBI itself. Now, Judge John Judge said he would take those arguments and look at case law and then will issue a ruling at a later time.
As for those motions we did not hear today, it's unclear whether we'll see the decisions on those publicly filed. Our contact with Idaho court says that depends on what both sides agree upon. We'll have much more on this one as it continues forward. In other news tonight, just yesterday we learned the Latah County prosecutor will seek the death penalty for Kohberger if he is found guilty.
This all comes more than a month since a grand jury formally indicted the suspect. Our sister station in Pennsylvania, where Kohberger was first detained back in January, spoke with a prosecutor from the state of Pennsylvania about how capital punishment will affect the trial.
Prosecutor Jarrett Ferrantino says the families of 4 victims likely agreed on pursuing the death penalty.
I've had cases where I'll sit down with a family and they would say, spare this person's life. And that weighs heavily. You know, they're not the chief decision maker in that decision. The prosecution will discuss the imposition of the death penalty with the investigators, with the rest of their team. And that all factors into a cocktail that really makes the decision for them.
Ferrantino says no matter how the judge decides, the process to prosecute Kohberger should slow down significantly.
In the meantime, next week would have been one of the victim's birthdays. Xana Kernodle should have turned 21. Now her family is honoring her by inviting everyone, you, to help celebrate Zanapalooza. The family says you can celebrate by just being silly, having fun, and getting out of your comfort zone. They say Xana loved to live life to the fullest and create memories, and now the family is encouraging you to do the same. Zanapalooza will be July 5th.
All right, switching gears to talk weather now with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo as isolated thunderstorms move through the area. Jeremy, there are still some flood watches in effect for Chelan and Okanagan counties. Any other flooding concerns out there tonight?
It's really going to kind of be where those storms set up. We've seen flooding already in Chelan and Okanagan counties, but we've also seen quite a few strong storms across the region. Look at Coeur d'Alene right now, rain coming down. The storm itself sits off to the north, but yes, we do have another round of some of those flood watches in effect for Chelan and Okanagan counties. Tonight, those last through 9 p.m. Right now, we don't see any advisories or warnings, but that doesn't mean they won't return. A little bit of rain comes down over in Coeur d'Alene. You can see it right there. That's what we were watching on the shot. South of Spirit Lake, looks like as you make your way down toward Rathdrum, that storm's still holding together. That storm's going to eventually take the energy from the one moving into Hayden Lake. Still going to bring thunder, lightning, a little bit of gusty wind. None of these storms are severe, but that doesn't mean they don't pack a punch. The one in southern Stevens County, that one that moved just south of Chewelah, that one's still rather strong. The one north of Deer Park, that one's rather strong. You are going to see some thunder, lightning, and some gusty wind out of some of these storms. So watch as they move in. You should see them coming. They're coming in from the northeast, and we have more activity as you make your way out toward Grand Coulee. Those storms will eventually die down as the sun goes down tonight. Model suggestion puts a little more activity early tomorrow morning, but overall it does look like tomorrow looks a lot like today before we dry out and warm up.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Well, last night, Spokane City Council members passed an ordinance which increases the penalty for trespassing in parks after hours.
Going into effect 30 days after the mayor signs off, that will make the penalty jump from a civil infraction to a misdemeanor crime. Spokane police say they have seen significant increases in crime and vandalism in multiple city parks. In fact, according to SPD data, there have been 29 shootings in 22 different city parks.
And coming up on KREM 2 News at 6 tonight, with so many scams going around, it can be difficult to tell what's real and what you should ignore. KREM 2 viewer Kim reached out to the Verify team after she got this postcard in the mail claiming she might be eligible for a payment of up to $7,500 because of a data breach with the Washington Department of Licensing. So our Verify team tracked down the people behind the postcard to find out if they're legit and what you should do if you get one. That story is coming up on KREM 2 News at 6 tonight.